Camp is camp. It's tough, but it's for me to want to push myself. This is what I do, this is what I live for. I'm ready for battle. I feel like I'm getting stronger, and I feel by the time the fight comes, I'll be at peak performance.
One more. One more. Beautiful. Good. That's what we've got to bring him on to. Nobody can take that.
Unbelievable how far and how wide sports can take you and the things that you get access to.
Anthony Joshua has officially begun his first day of training camp, ahead of his December 19th showdown with Jake Paul. With the fight now confirmed, Joshua is wasting no time sharpening his tools, entering camp with laser-focused discipline and the confidence of a former heavyweight champion. Jake Paul, despite his controversial rise from YouTube fame to professional boxing, has undeniably proven he can create massive attention. But this time, he steps in against a seasoned powerhouse with world-class pedigree and the experience of fighting at the very top of the sport.
Vegas, the second leg of the training camp. I'm feeling energized, I'm feeling refreshed. So yeah, come inside, have a look what's going on. Tough training, tough lifestyle, rough and tough. But listen, how else would I want it? I love it.
So what am I bringing differently? I wouldn't say a new mindset, but definitely like a new perspective. But ultimately, everything new has to lead to a win. So yeah, that's what I'm focused on right now, is just winning. With training camp, it's grueling, like there's no doubt about that, but you just need to have a clear mind and be optimistic and run towards challenges every day. And that's how I'm able to get through, is just the perspective I have on what suffering looks like. There's a certain standard that one has to have if they want to achieve certain things. I am working past efforts, measures that I set out for myself. Yes, it's tough. Yes, I'm tired.
Copiner reported that the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight is finalized for December 2025 in Miami and will stream on Netflix as a full professional heavyweight bout. Point 3.
Mentioned earlier that Anthony Joshua still didn't have an opponent for his next fight, but he was thinking of still fighting before the end of the year. And we've got some breaking news for you now, because we're hearing that AJ is in talks with Jake Paul over a deal for a heavyweight fight in Miami next month. Of course, the YouTuber Paul has already fought the former heavyweight champion of the world, Mike Tyson, and beaten him. And he's now in talks with Anthony Joshua with a view to the two of them fighting in Miami next month.
Hearn pushed back on some of those claims but still confirmed the fight, stressing that it will take place under full Queensberry rules rather than as an exhibition. He made it clear there will be no modified conditions such as oversized gloves or shortened rounds, insisting the bout will use 10-ounce competition gloves, standard round lengths, and the complete professional boxing rules set. Point 4.
Ring Magazine, Anthony Joshua, your man, and Jake Paul are finalizing a deal for a December heavyweight fight in Florida. True or false?
I mean, the gun was jumped a little bit and fired early. There have been conversations. For us, we were flirting with the idea of having this little 8-round fight this year. Not with Jake Paul, by the way, because he was fighting Gervonta Davis.
Yeah, that's not.
But we were going to go on a other card somewhere. You wouldn't have really heard of the person we were going to fight. But AJ wanted to go through the motions, wrap the hands, and just gear up to what is really in the works with Turki Al-Sheikh, which is 2 fights in 2026, and that includes Tyson Fury. That's the plan for Turki Al-Sheikh. We received a phone call from Nikisa Baldirian, from MVP, who, by the way, we've spoke to a few months before talking to us about the fight. And he said, look, would you want to fight Jake Paul? And I said, listen, I don't want to just be a publicity muppet for you, telling everybody that you offered the fight to Anthony Joshua. If you're serious, we can discuss the numbers. And if there's a chance for us to run out in December and, take care of this bloke and get him out of the boxing world and make several tens of millions in the process, of course, we will consider it. And that's basically where we are at now.
And do the numbers stack up?
Of course, I mean, it's difficult to have this conversation. I think sometimes...
Told Sky Sports that they have zero interest in exhibitions, and that if Jake Paul wants to fight Anthony Joshua, it must be a real contest at a contracted weight. However, he also warned that the deal is not completely finalized yet. He described the chances as 50-50, explaining that several negotiations and details still need to be resolved. before the fight becomes official. 5.
Extremely dangerous for Jake Paul. You know, I've got the general feedback is the boxing world saying, please, AJ, go in and evaporate this young man from the boxing world so we can all get on as normal. You've got Jake Paul fans thinking bizarrely they can beat Anthony Joshua. And the most bizarre thing out of everything is that Jake Paul genuinely believes he will beat Anthony Joshua. I think that's the only reason we're going to see this fight, but I truly believe you're going to see.
Hearn said, Jake Paul is bold and perhaps reckless enough to pursue the fight, even though Joshua is a true heavyweight monster. He pointed out the enormous payday waiting for both fighters, but emphasized the brutal danger of such a mismatch. Hearn warned that putting an inexperienced boxer like Paul against a seasoned world-level heavyweight could be catastrophic, potentially ending Paul's career either physically or reputation. 6.
Anthony Joshua 50-50 fight, what do you make of that?
Yeah, I just said in another interview, great if it is. I mean, if it is, then you've got no problem seeing it. But when AJ, I mean, decapitate's a strong word, but you know, when he renders Jake Paul unconscious like he did to Francis Ngannou, don't then say, oh, well, it was Jake Paul. Do you know what I mean? I mean, when AJ beat Francis Ngannou, Ngannou just had a fight that could have gone either way with Tyson Fury. Then AJ poleaxed him and everyone just said he's just an MMA fighter. You know what I mean? Jake Paul's not Francis Ngannou. But as I said before, if you want to see Jake Paul exit the boxing world...
Jordan acknowledged that despite his criticisms, the Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul fight could still benefit boxing in several ways. He admits the matchup will attract massive global attention, pulling millions of casual viewers, and create huge financial opportunities for everyone involved. Jordan noted that boxing is also a business, and pairing a former heavyweight champion with one of the world's biggest digital entertainers guarantees blockbuster interest, headlines, and mainstream visibility. While he questions the competitive legitimacy, he recognizes that commercially, the fight could be a huge win for the sport. 7.
I watched Jake Paul the weekend. I feel a bit dirty saying that because I'm not a fan of his, but he did say after the fight that he's sort of having DMs or he's dropping text messages to AJ. They're having a chat about a potential fight. What's your view on that, Eddie?
Well, look, he's calling out Gervonta Davis, who is a 135-pound lightweight, and he's calling out Anthony Joshua, that's a heavyweight monster. I think Jake Paul is crazy enough to fight Anthony Joshua because the money would be absolutely obscene. It's a catastrophic mismatch that people would tune in to watch because it would lead to the end of Jake Paul. Hopefully not literally, but it's that dangerous that, you know, it's a fight that I don't think should really happen, if I'm honest. I would say about Jake Paul, and I've said this in a couple of interviews today, I do think you start after giving him a margin of respect. You know, I think this guy is going through the motions. He's putting the hard spars in. He just went 10 rounds with, yes, a washed-up fighter, but a former world champion that did train for that fight. But they're very clever in terms of the opponents that they pick. They're not going to gamble unless the money's out of control. And it wouldn't surprise me if Jake Paul, wanted to move forward with an Anthony Joshua fight. Honestly, AJ's coming tonight. He's not exactly looking at Jake Paul going, oh, that's my dream opponent. Would he go in there and give him a hiding for, you know, a massive chunk of money? Probably, I'd be saying.
Interviews him and Jordan also criticized the Conor Benn versus Chris Eubank Jr. fight, arguing that the promotion relied more on nostalgia than genuine sporting merit. He said the event was sold on the legacy of their father's legendary rivalry, rather than the fighters' actual accomplishments. Jordan accused promoters of using history to justify a matchup that didn't make competitive sense, especially with Ben moving up in weight and Eubank Jr. cutting down dangerously. Turning back to Jake Paul versus Joshua, he called it a blatant cash grab rather than a credible contest, warning that matching a former heavyweight champion with a social media star risks the integrity of boxing. He even questioned whether the fight should be sanctioned, expressing concern about Paul's safety and the long-term impact on Joshua's legacy.
This is the entertainment business, and Anthony Joshua is an entertainer, and you can't undo the fact that he won the World Heavyweight Championship twice, and he fought in some great fights.
So why does he need this?
Because he's in the business of entertainment, and if an opportunity is presented to him, and someone wants to say that we can monetize this to the huge levels that are potentially available, why wouldn't you? It's a walk in the park.
You see, you're not having Saturday night.
Because I know
many people wouldn't have this.
Well, I'm not having.
Because this isn't a proper fight where a Saturday night is.
But I don't think this is a proper. I don't think that I would ever consider having a debate about whether Anthony Joshua versus Jake Paul is a proper fight between two bona fide champions. I think Jake Paul is someone that's creating a lot of opportunity for himself and using sport as the anchor for it. And would I watch it? No. And do I value it? No. But when I'm asked to be confronted with a fight between two legends' sons and then get involved in all of the nonsense that goes